Ever wonder what really keeps a modern factory humming? Well, a huge part of it comes down to electricity. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a really key certification for anyone in industrial maintenance, the PMMI Industrial Electricity 1 exam. So yeah, let's get right into it. Take a look at this. Behind pretty much every single product you use, there's a complex web of electrical systems just like this one. I mean, these are literally the heartbeats of our factories and plants. And understanding them, it's not just some tech skill. It's like learning the secret language of modern industry. All right, so what's the plan? Here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about the bigger picture. Welcome to Mechatronics. Then we'll zoom right in on the Industrial Electricity 1 exam itself. After that, we'll look at the core things you have to know, solve a problem together, and finish up with how to really prepare for success. Okay, before we get into all the details of the exam, let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Because this certification, it's really a doorway into a much bigger and, frankly, a way more exciting field. And that field is mechatronics. Just think of it as this awesome mashup where electrical, mechanical, and computer systems all collide to make the smart, automated world we rely on. In a world like that, you just can't be a one-trick pony anymore. And that's exactly what the PMMI certification is for. It proves you've got that multi-skilled mindset that employers are desperately looking for. So what PMI, that's the Association for Packaging and Processing Technologies, what they've done is create this kind of universal standard. It's a way for you to prove, hey, I have the hands-on skills to work anywhere, whether that's in food processing or making consumer goods. You can almost think of it like a passport to the entire world of industrial maintenance. All right, so now that we have that big picture, let's get to the main event, the Industrial Electricity 1 exam. What exactly is it? And more importantly, is it for you? So who should be thinking about this exam? Well, take a look. Are you a student in a technical program? Yep. An experienced worker who wants to cross-train or upskill? For sure. A mechanic who wants to add electrical skills to your toolbox? Absolutely. Or maybe you're an entry-level electrician or in an apprenticeship program. The point is, this exam is built to meet you right where you're at in your career. And the payoff? What's the real benefit here? Look, passing this thing isn't just about getting a piece of paper. It's proof. It tells a potential employer that you have the foundational knowledge to be a serious candidate for an entry-level technician job. It's your foot in the door. Okay, so what do you actually need to know for the exam? It's broken down into 4 main areas, 4 core domains. Think of this as your personal blueprint for studying. This is what you need to master. First up, circuit fundamentals. You've got to have this down cold. This is the bedrock. We're talking AC, DC current, how to read schematics, how to grab a multimeter and actually measure voltage, current, and resistance. Everything else builds on this. Okay, once you've got that foundation, we move on to domain 2, motors and transformers. I mean, these are the workhorses, the powerhouses of any factory. You've got to understand how they operate, and just as important, you need to know how to read their nameplates to figure out exactly what you're looking at. Next up, we're talking about the brains of the whole operation, control and logic. This is all about how you actually tell the motors what to do. You're going to need to know about manual motor controls and the basics of relay ladder logic. You know, that if this happens, then do that, kind of thinking that makes all the complex machinery work. And last, but honestly most important, we have safety and standards. And this one, it's totally non-negotiable. Knowing procedures like lockout/tagout isn't just for a test. It's about making sure you and everyone around you goes home safe at the end of the day. This exam makes absolutely sure you've got this critical knowledge locked in. All right, enough theory. How does this stuff actually look in the real world? Or at least on the test? Let's actually walk through a sample question together and see these ideas in action.
Ready? Let's give it a shot. We're going to look at a circuit diagram and break it down, just like you do on the exam.
Okay, here it is, our sample problem. Take a good look at this circuit. The question is pretty simple. Which statement here correctly describes it? Now, at first glance, it might just look like a mess of resistors, but trust me, there's a very clear logic hidden in there. So, where do we even start? Let's break it down. First, just look for the parts that are in a single straight line, one after the other. See them? R1, R2, and R6. Boom, they're in series. Now, where does the path split? Right, it splits between R3, R4, and R5. So those are in parallel. And here's the key, the real trick. You have to see that whole parallel group, R3, R4, R5, as just one single component, and that component is in series with the others. And when you see it that way,
It leads you straight to the right answer, which is B. The group of R3, R4, and R5 are in parallel, and that whole group is in series with R1, R2, and R6. See? Once you break it down into simple steps, it's not so bad, right? Okay, so you've seen what's on the exam, you've seen how to approach a problem. Now for the big question. How do you actually prepare to pass this thing?
I've got some great tips for you, straight from the study guide. First off, take the questions at face value. Don't overthink it. Second, always read all the answer choices before you pick one. And keep an eye out for that tricky little word, not. Oh, and if you find yourself doing some crazy complex math, you're probably on the wrong track. The math is usually pretty simple. And remember this, safety is always job one. When in doubt, the safest answer is often the right one. And here's a super important real-world tip for you. Look, we live in a global economy. That means the equipment you work on could come from anywhere. So you're going to see different kinds of electrical diagrams. You absolutely need to be familiar with both the North American NEMA standards and the European IEC standards. Knowing both makes you way more versatile and honestly, way more valuable as a technician. So what's the bottom line here? I think this quote from the PMMI study guide really says it all. It says that passing this exam shows you have the electrical knowledge to be considered a candidate for an entry-level position. I mean, what's clearer than that? This certification is your ticket. It's a huge signal to employers that you're ready to hit the ground running. So really, there's only one question left. Are you ready to power up your career? The information is out there, and this certification gives you a really clear roadmap to prove what you know. Thanks so much for joining me, and best of luck on your journey.